just respond, that'll be fine. Which one will you prefer for a classroom? Yeah, obviously the first one. I get some response. So because why you prefer first one, the reason is like because well ordered, well structured, the teacher is delivering the class, it is completely absolute discipline is there, and all those things are working perfectly. So that is how the current systems are actually working. Like you have a centralized connection, like a server or a administrator or a third party who is actually controlling your application, or who is actually controlling the system. The other one, which is not commonly used, or which is not too much common among the computer systems or the basic networks, because there is no central authority, or there is no agency or administrator over there. Here, all are equal. Anyone can do whatever they, or anyone can actually go and do the activities based on their concern. So how things will work? There is always a confusion. There is always some kind of discrepancies happening on. So the blockchain technology, why the world is actually figuring out blockchain technology is like this is a purely decentralized technology. That is, it is a figure two kind of thing, but it works perfectly even if there is no servers or no administrators or no authorities to control these kind of classrooms. All the students, think of a ideal scenario where all the students will be loyal to the classroom. All the students will maintain the decorum and will be having perfect discipline in the classroom and do the studies. So that is the innovation which blockchain technology is bringing to the decentralized world, because in the initial days most of the people were actually reluctant toward moving to the decentralized world, but blockchain actually brings some way to it. So it doesn't mean that all the existing systems have to move to decentralized. If you just Google about blockchain, or if you just search about some articles, you can see that anything and everything can be moved to blockchain. That is what people tell about blockchain. But I'm not that opinion. Like if the current systems are working perfectly in the centralized server systems or in the centralized kind of systems, and if you is any kind of challenges over there, let it work as is. You don't need a blockchain there. But if you have some challenges, or if you have some kind of problems or issues with the, then there is a scope for the decentralized systems. So that is what we will be focusing through this webinar or through these sessions, like whether you need a blockchain or not, and what are the possible applications where you can find a blockchain. So I think a couple of days before, you have read a news article regarding the Paytm was blocked from Play Store for a couple of hours, or I think around 10 to 12 hours, due to some policy infringements. Say like a Paytm of application or building kind of thing, what Google find out like it is against the rules or against the what you call the geographic kind of protocols, and they just stop services, or they just remove Paytm for a couple of hours, and later on they claim the things given back access to it. So there were many versions of it. Like some people argued like uh, it is a method of Google Pay more famous and attract the consumers or attract the customers from Paytm. And there are many arguments happening on that. So why this actually happened is like, like it is Play Store or it's Apple iStore, it is actually controlled by some kind of central authorities, or the Google decides what all applications have to be there in Play Store, or what are the policy infringements are there. Or say, for example, if you have a YouTube channel, so most of you will be trying to get some revenue from the YouTube channels. Like the revenue depends on the number of views and number of what you call the subscribers and all those kind of things. But who is actually giving you the input? The Google tells you like, okay, this is the number of views, or this is the number of subscribers which you have. How you trust that particular agency? Because since it is Google, you are agreeing like, okay, we are going to trust that is a huge company, or that's a huge corporate. But there are situations where these central points, or these kind of administrators can go faulty, or there can be some kind of failures happening out there. Say, what if a teacher is not coming to a class at a day? So the entire system can disrupt. So that is where the decentralization have a potential, or these kind of challenges could be overcome by the decentralized world or by this decentralization. So that is where the idea of blockchain came into play. But this is, as I already mentioned, this is not a new thing, because hope you all are familiar with the concept of torrents. You all use torrents for downloading movies and all those kind of files. So torrents was one of the very first kind of the peer-to-peer network or a decentralized kind of network when you don't actually need a server, even though for hosting and all you just start with a server. But later on, there is actually no need for a single entity or a single authority to control the system. So that was the beauty of torrent. And blockchain also have some kind of what you call some kind of replicas or some kind of modeling same as that of Bittern, or they also use some kind of protocol similar to that. So let's see how things are working. I think the basic things will be boring if you are already into the blockchain stuff, if you already know blockchain. But anyway, my idea is to make sure that all of them go through the same thing, or if there are people who are absolutely new to this technology, let them also catch up with this. So blockchain is nothing but a distributed ledger technology. So before explaining that, let me ask you one question. What is a ledger? You might have heard about the term ledger, specifically in the financial domain. So what is your definition for a ledger, or what do you call as a ledger? Anyone? Any thoughts on what is a ledger? Yeah, ledger is a record of transactions. Very good answer. So yes, I too agree. Like ledger is nothing but a book or a register which contains some kind of transactions. Typically, the debit, the credit, and the balances, just like your passbook or just like your what the bank is actually doing. So I would like to say like is nothing but a big ledger or a what do you call it, a huge ledger containing details. Okay, so am I audible right now?
Yes, yes, you are audible,
Okay,
Adarsh.
okay. So bank is nothing but a big ledger or a huge ledger, I would say, which have or which stores the transaction details of all its clients. So, but we know like bank is not a distributed ledger. Distributed ledger means that everyone holds the same copy of that entire data. But in bank, there is certain kind of privacy, or it is, like the core banking systems, which is actually controlled by the banking providers only. And if you're a client or if you're a customer to a bank, you have your own private passbooks. You have an account number and you have your own passbook, which only your own transactions. Like you doesn't know the transaction details or any other details of any other persons, but you will just know only your details, like some pieces of chunks of data which you are holding. But here also there are chances, like what if the bank is going to fail, or what if the bank is stopping operations? Who guarantees your money? There are many legal mechanisms for that. But still, very recently you have seen like some famous banks, or I don't want to name bank here, but you have read many news, like even the banks with very good ratings, like the AAA or AA ratings, they fail to perform, and people started losing the money due to some scams in the top level hierarchy. So even with these kind of systems, there are chances like uh, these systems can fail, or these systems can actually go. So blockchain is a distributed ledger technology, which means that everyone have the copy of the exact same ledger. Say suppose if there are 15 members over here, and I'm delivering the session. So consider like there is no single teacher or there is no single resource person delivering the session. Everyone have the same copy of the slides with you. Like if even if I am facing some network issues, or even if I am just backing out from the session, there is no worry. Like you all have the same copy of the slides with you, and say you all have some kind of voice prompt or some kind of lecturing where you can learn the things. So it is not mandatory that the resource person should be there, or the entire session is purely depend on a particular resource person. So that is the beauty of blockchain technology, which was initially proposed for the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. I will explain what is a cryptocurrency and what is Bitcoin. We will come into that. So nothing time open ledger recording any type of transactions where there is no single owner. So you don't confuse with these terminologies inside the figure. I've just put a figure, block 0, block 1, and block 2, and some kind of arrows. So this is nothing but pieces of data which are added together by some kind of linking. So don't go, no need to go too much deep there. Just consider the image uh, at the last. Like I have put an image of the book, famous book Harry Potter. So if you have read this book, or if a famous book, suppose you want to read the story, what you will do is like you just purchase the books, or you can rent it from some of your, and you read the story right from the first page till the last page. Suppose say the book is around 300 pages or 400 pages, you just start reading from page and you go on reading till the last page. And if everyone are interested in reading the books, say there are 15 members in this group, all having the same copy of Harry Potter, and all of them will be actually reading the same story. So blockchain is almost a same kind of thing. There is no single copy, or there is no single ledger mechanism. It is a distributed ledger where everyone have the exactly same copy of that book. That is the blocks. I would say blockchain is nothing but chaining together some kind of blocks. So the blocks actually represent the pages, and when these pages arranged in a sequence fashion forms the blockchain, or forms a book. So if it was a library, like if like library is a central authority or kind of thing, and say in your college library or in your school library, there is only single copy of this Harry Potter book, which means that based on your turns or based on your iterations, you go and take the book. And so there is only one copy of Harry Potter where everyone have the access, like a weekly access or a daily based access. You can actually have that access to it. And suppose I am a naughty student, I am going to tear off some pages from that Harry Potter book. So like what happens. Say if I'm tearing off page number 10, 11, and 12. So when the next person is coming, he will lose the story. Like after page number 9, he just have the page number 13 only. If there is no mechanism to check, or the librarian have to check these things at each and every moment. And if the things are failing, it will be completely gone. But what if all the students have this? It seems a little more expensive in a single point of view, but still, if everyone have the same copy, even if one copy, or even if at least a single page or something is being tampered, it doesn't affect the network, or it doesn't affect the others. And since you all are in the same network, you share the story, or you can share the scenes in between, and those who was actually attacked, they can easily figure out, okay, what was the problem in my book, or what was the problem in my chain. So that is the same thing. I've just given the story just to make sure that you also know the concept. Like typically there'll be a confusion, like what is the need of blockchain. We already have the centralized servers, and we have the central administration mechanisms. But this is the beauty of blockchain. Like everyone holds the same copy, so the chances of attack are very, very less, and you can't easily remove, or you can easily add a new component or delete a new component. Now going back to the block structure, you hope you can see that figure. In every block, I have included some parameters. Say like there is an index. Index is nothing but a page number, and you have a timestamp. Timestamp is just mentioning the current time. That is the time at which this particular data or the transactions are being formed. I'm putting some kind of data on top of it. What data I want to actually store. And then there is a terminology called hash. So if you're not from mathematical background or from the computer science background, it will be confusing. So consider hash as a one-way function. One-way function means nothing but you can give what all input you prefer to this particular mathematical function, but that will give an output which is of fixed size. Say even if you give a 1 GB file or a 1 KB file, the output will be actually fixed size. There are many algorithms for hashing. The most commonly used is SHA-256, which gives you a 256 bit kind of way, which means that the advantage of one-way function is that from the output you cannot create the input. Like once the output is produced, you can easily verify that, like if these are the inputs this compared to a particular algorithm, this is the output. Just like how we are making a tea, like the inputs for a tea are milk, sugar, water, then what are additional things you do. And there is a process of making the tea. You need a gas stove, or you need a burner. You need to boil the milk, you need to boil water, you need to add sugar, tea powder, and all those kind of things. And at the end you are getting your tea. But from the tea, you cannot go back to the raw materials, or you cannot separate milk or whatever be the kind of things from the tea, you can just evaporate it. So that is the same thing which is happening with hash also. And why we are keeping hash is like, even a single bit of the input is changed, the entire hash value will be changed. That is a mathematical property behind any hash function. Like even if you put an additional full stop, or even if you add a single character, the entire hash value will get changed. So the even a minute attack can be easily figured out. Like the hash of every block will be stored in the next block, just to make sure that the predecessor as well as the successor is actually well known. So you can see like in the block 0 there is no previous hash because it is the first one, so no previous hash and it is 0. But in case of block 1, they are storing the hash of block 0 as a previous hash here, and you can see like the same process continues. In the block 2 they are storing the same things, and these blocks are stored in all the blocks, which means that all the participants or all the nodes in network have the exact same copy of what they are actually storing. So if say suppose there are 13 participants in this particular talk, and we all are in a completely decentralized blockchain network. There's no authority or no servers or anything of that kind. And say suppose I'm an attacker, I'm joining this network and I want to attack the data from some of those persons. So what I want to do in a blockchain is like, suppose I want to do some kind of malpractice in block number 1, there is a time limit for the creation of each and every block. Say for example in Bitcoin blockchain, every 8 minutes a new block will be created, and if it is some advanced blockchains like Ethereum or something, every 8 to 11 seconds a new block will be actually created. So an attacker, if I want to change the data in block 1, within the 8 minutes I want to attack all the nodes, like all the participants in this network, and I would recompute this complete hash value and create a new block. So this is actually a very complex process. If you are a computer science student, you know like computing the hash values and computing the same process in all the machines across the world for participants is a truly complex problem, provided the number of nodes are high. If there are just 2 nodes, it will be easy. But in case of public blockchains like Bitcoins and Ethereums and all, there are more than 15,000 or 16,000 nodes across the world. So within these 8 minutes of time, even with supercomputers or even with the computational powers like Google and Facebook is being used, you cannot simply hack or you cannot tamper with the blockchain. So that is how the trust of blockchain actually started building. Like it is a truly distributed ledger. It may be considered as a network or a data store or whatever be the kind of thing. Like the computer science students may see some similarity with the concept of linked list. Linked list is a kind of data structure which you use in computer science, which have some kind of similarities with the blocks, but there are some differences also. So I don't want to go too much technical. If you have it, I will take it at the end. So this is a basic idea. Just like the Harry Potter book, like everyone across the world have the same replica or same copy of the Harry Potter book. So if you want to change the story inside the Harry Potter book, it's practically impossible. Like you may be able to alter 1 or 2, but you may not be able to alter the entire copies, because you know the kind of volume of books which are being released and the fans who are actually waiting for this book. So going and manipulating these things will be extremely difficult. So let's see where it all started. As I mentioned, these all started from the uh, Bitcoin. So before explaining that, let me come into what is currency. So you might have heard about cryptocurrencies, or some of you might have actually used cryptocurrencies. But those who are actually new to cryptocurrencies, I would say, like, hope you all are aware about the fiat currencies, just like the INR or US, which you are currently using for your daily transactions. So these fiat currencies are primarily issued by banks or some central authorities, and its value and all those kind of things are dependent on these central authorities. And it have physical currencies as well as digital currencies. Say like you can use INR as printed currencies, as well as there are digital forms of using the INR. But for the cryptocurrency, here the currency is not generated by any bank or any central authority or any government. This is actually generated by some kind of cryptographic algorithms. So cryptography is nothing but it is an encoding, decoding, or an encryption, decryption kind of mathematical algorithms which are used in computer science just to say like you want to send some data with some kind of privacy, so you make the readable data format into unreadable format, and at the end you can actually, you may be able to change it also, you may be able to recover it also. So that is the idea of a cryptography, the basic idea of cryptography. So uh, the person or the group, the identity is not at your called Satoshi Nakamoto. So Satoshi Nakamoto introduced the concept of a cryptocurrency in 2008, which is a purely decentralized digital currency. That is, there is no banks or no authorities to control it. He just released a white paper and released the algorithm or released a software in the website bitcoin.org, where anyone across the world with a computer or with a system and a net connection can come and join this network, can download the software, and can start using it. So it seems a funny kind of thing in the initial days, like people just considered Bitcoin as a game kind of coins, where like in most of the mobile games and computer games, you have a lot of tokens or coins which are getting as reward. The people also consider this as the same thing, but here the advantage is like this is a purely permissionless public system, which means that you don't need any kind of KYC process or any kind of onboarding process to join the Bitcoin network. It is fully open and anyone across the world can come and join. And there is a supply limit for the Bitcoin. So if you ask the for INR or USD, it depends on the government policies and the RBI policy and all those kind of things. But for Bitcoin, there are only 21 million Bitcoins in the complete network, and all the coins are actually logged inside the network, which means that you cannot add a new coin or you cannot take away a coin from this particular network. So in 2008, that is in the day one or the day zero of blockchain or the Bitcoin blockchain, all the currencies are in the Bitcoin network, which is in a locked state. And when people come and join, and when people come and play cryptographic puzzles or play or work with this software, they get this Bitcoins as reward. That is what the Satoshi actually mentioned. So I know like there will be a lot of confusions with you, because if I'm going to explain Bitcoin, it will take around 2 to 3 hours. So let me just quickly get into a puzzle. Hope everyone have access to the chat. Consider this is day zero or the day one of Bitcoin. We all are in the year 2008. Okay, and we all are completely anonymous, like we don't know each other who is a person, or we don't know the name of each other. So there are 13 persons who are coming to the bitcoin.org website, and they are downloading that software. There is some kind of software which is running on your machine. So what software actually does is like it actually solves some kind of mathematical puzzles which cannot be done by manual process, because it will be some kind of complex puzzle which can be solved only by using CPU or GPU or extremely high power computing machines. Only those machines can actually solve that puzzles. Okay, so say I'm not a central authority or I'm not the Satoshi Nakamoto, like everyone are equal. What we do is like, say we are in day zero and we have the software installed. So suppose the first puzzle I will give on the chat, say count the number of alphabets in the particular word. I have put a word in the chat, Tiruvananthapuram. So just count the total number of alphabets in that particular word, and you can put your answer in the chat. So the game is like those who uh, gives the answer first will be the winner. Yeah, I think I've got an answer from Unikrishan 7. Anyone else? So I think there are 13 participants, and none of the others have responded till now. So Unikrishan gave an answer as 7, and I am not an authority or I am not a central agency to check whether this answer is right or wrong. There is a authority of server or admin. So others can also put your answers on this chat. If you are online, feel free to put your answers on chat, and let me give one more hint. Like there is nothing like a right answer or a wrong answer in the Bitcoin blockchain. So Sahan have put answer as 8, great, and another person have put answer as 10. I don't know the name. It is 91989. Again, I have got an answer as 8 and another answer as 7. So like anyone can actually commit there. Again, an answer like 8 or is come. So in Bitcoin blockchain, you will have 8 minutes or less than 8 minutes of time to give your answer. That is a time limit. And what the network actually is like, there is a protocol inside the network which actually go and find which is the most approved, just like a voting process, which is the most approved answer. So don't argue with me like, okay, this is not the right answer or this is not the wrong answer, because I am not a central authority or I am not a server or a agent verified. So from my chat, I see like the answer 8 have been supported by 4 people, 7 have been supported by 2 people, and 10 by only 1. So from this, like you can have multiple options. Say some will be telling like I will be counting all the letters. Some will be telling like I'll be just counting only the alphabets without a repetition. Like it's your choice. I don't have a call over here. So which answer is man? People, that will be the winner, which means like, so here Sahan have put the answer as 8, which is the most common kind of thing, which means the block 0 or the first block. Typically in blockchain, the block start from block 0. So the block 0 will be actually created by Sahan, and every in this network agrees, like, because Sahan have given the answer as first, and the first block, it may be containing some kind of transactions or some kind of data based on the time. Primarily these data may be stored in a blockchain, or you can store any other kind of thing. And in the Bitcoin blockchain or in a cryptocurrency, for telling this answer, he will be also rewarded. So in the initial days, 50 Bitcoins will be given to the account of Sahan, which means that this is the day 0. Like all of us are having 0 Bitcoins in our account. None of us have any kind of Bitcoin here. And Sahan have received the first currency or the first thing in his account, which anyone can verify, or everyone in this network can actually verify. So please don't confuse like your name or your photo or KYC will be revealed. Here it is only a address. Address means just a hexadecimal value which consists of alphabets and numericals. So no name like Sahan or Abhinash or something will be displayed. Only his particular address will be displayed over here, and he will be rewarded with these things, which is approved by all the participants. And next, for the block also the same kind of competition happens, and you give the answer and you gain some rewards. So this is the mechanism which is followed by the Bitcoin or the most celebrated cryptocurrency. And Satoshi also told like after every 4 years the reward will be halved, which means in 2008 for every block you get 50 Bitcoins, and in 2012 it halved to 25 Bitcoins. In 2016 it was 12.5 Bitcoin, and in 2020 it is just 6.75 Bitcoins. But now, since it is a very big network and these mathematical puzzles are not as simple as what we have done, it needs extremely high power computing machines to solve the problems. That is a major drawback of cryptocurrencies, and that is a advantage which brings more value to this cryptocurrency. That is how this becomes more precious in the world. So I am not going too much into the cryptocurrency part, or I am not holding any kind of cryptocurrencies with me, and I'm not a cryptocurrency enthusiast. So here the point is like all these transactions are actually stored inside a distributed ledger that is actually known as blockchain. So it was the concept of cryptocurrency which gave a birth to this blockchain concept, and people started trusting this cryptocurrency only because these transactions were actually written in the blockchain. Because even before Bitcoin there were many other small currencies which released the concept of cryptocurrencies or thing. All failed miserably just because they were controlled by some central authorities or some kind of banks or governments where people lose the trust. So you can see like 2008 was a appropriate year when there was a global economic recession, and by 2010 or 11 the Bitcoin started gaining acceptance, because you don't want to trust any government, you don't want to trust any kind of authority, no taxation or nothing is going to happen. You just even attackers or even fake participants can be live only if the transactions are being verified by the network. So there are predictions are like in future there will be no need for any kind of antivirus or anti-malware kind of softwares if your entire system is running on a blockchain platform. So that was a basic idea of a cryptocurrency, and you can see like if this is a most famous diagram of a Bitcoin chain. Like if a sender wants to send a money to a person, what it actually does is like uh, every person have their own address. Means like as I already mentioned, a hexadecimal kind of value with a private key and a public key, just like your email ID and password. So email ID is something which is public, which you share to any person just to send you mail, and password is your private key. Like if you expose your passwords to some person, anyone can gain access to your account. So same is the case. If A want to send money to B, A will sign the transaction with his private key and will add the public address or add the address of B, and it is broadcasted to all the participants in the node. Suppose here if Sahan, say I'm just using the name, sorry for that, and 5 bitcoins to another person. So you all know like Sahan already mined the block 0 and he have 50 bitcoins in his account. So your software can go and easily verify the account. But if suppose I am going to initiate a transaction, you all know like I have 0 bitcoin in my account. So your software can easily validate this is a fake transaction or this is a false one. You don't have to proceed. So that is the same thing, just like a voting thing. There will be people verifying the transaction, and only those transactions which are verified will go to the blockchain and it will be given to all the participants. So here beyond the winners, like if Sahan have got 50 bitcoins, all the others who have participated in this competition, just like a consolation prize or just like the lottery system, you will also receive some amount, a very minute amount of bitcoin as reward, just to make sure that you keep the network live. Because if there is only a single winner, then the others will be actually removing from this network and they will not be interested in going further. So just like how the lottery is actually working, that is there will be a huge amount of prize for the first prize winner, and there will be a lot of consolation prizes just to make sure that whatever resource you are putting, you get some amount of reward. Because if you want to mine Bitcoin, you need to set up huge computational facilities, you need to pay for electricity, you need to pay for your hardware capacities and all those kind of things. So you should be rewarded in a very minute terms. That is what this system actually works. And the value is like this is an immutable and tamper-proof data store, which means that once the data is written into the blockchain, no one can actually go and remove the data, or there is no kind of editing or modifying or updating of data in a blockchain. So if the answer was wrong and if everyone have agreed to that answer, that wrong answer will be going into the blockchain. There is no one stopping from that. But typically the chances are very, very less, because it is not a single entity which is going to verify the thing. The community or the entire group is going to verify. So only if 51%, like it is a majority kind of thing, so only 51% or beyond that are faulty nodes, or beyond that are actually attackers, generally the system can fail. But there is a very, very low possibility for bigger networks or for public networks. And it is always a sequential chain. As I already mentioned, it is a sequential chain with a cryptographic hashing, and you have a trust-free consensus. So consensus is nothing but an agreement. So there are many consensus algorithms. I don't want to go too much deep here. Most common algorithm is proof of work, that is used by Bitcoin and many other algorithms, many other networks. So what you have done right now is a proof of work, because you all have started counting the number of alphabets in a particular word, which means you are actually doing a work, and you are proof of your work. Like all the participants in the network can verify your work, and those who have done work at a very minimal time, they were actually rewarded. So people can call it as trust free or trustless, depending on no single authority or a no trusted third party or to trust the things. And as I already mentioned, this is purely decentralized peer-to-peer network and is a distributed shared ledger. And we can have the self-executing smart contracts. I will come into that. So in Bitcoin there is no smart contracts, but for blockchain assets there is a smart contract. And no double spending. Double spending, I think it's a financial term. same coin being spent multiple times. So in the core banking solutions, there are many security mechanisms for that. But in Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about it because each transaction have a locking mechanism and a hashing, which ensures that there won't be any kind of double spending. Like your coins will be always safe. So yeah, I got some questions in the chat. I will pause for a moment here, just to make sure that if you get Bitcoin concept correct, because my aim is not to teach you Bitcoin or not to go too much into Bitcoin, but since you should know the history and you should know what exactly is blockchain, then only I can go to the other topics. So question from Abhinav is like, what is Bitcoin mining? So Bitcoin mining is nothing but your Bitcoin software. Like you can just go and download your software and install it in your computing machinery. Just compete for this value, like uh, what we have just done right now. Those who are producing the exact answer. So in the software, you will be doing is like you will be computing the hash value. So hash computation, what you'll be doing is like everyone will have a set of transactions and everyone knows the same algorithm. Like if you are using SHA algorithm, everyone have the same algorithm and you have to compute the hash value. But here the difficulty is like those who are computing hash value will be the winner. So to find the lowest hash value, what you will be doing is like you will be adding a random number to your inputs. Say all of you have the exactly same input, and if you are passing it to the same hashing algorithm, everyone will get the same answer. So what you will do is like you will add a random number to your inputs and then try to compute. So that is why Bitcoin needs extremely high power computing machineries, because say if you are using a CPU for generating random numbers, say you can generate, for example, you can generate 1,000 random numbers per second. If you are using a GPU server, you can generate 10,000 or 1 lakh random numbers per second. But if you're using huge server power machine, then you can generate 1 lakh or 10 lakh random numbers per second, which means that when you are increasing your hardware capacity, your probability of winning the block is high, which means that you can get more and more cryptocurrencies. That is how this mining works. And if you can just Google it, you can see like in China, South Korea, and many other countries where the electricity is cheap and you have the hardware capacities, there are many big mining pools, even bigger than the Technopark or many other IT parks. There are very big mining pools who are mining the bitcoins. So that is a challenge also. Like you need huge amount of electricity and power consuming for getting the coin. And next question is how the verification is valid. So verification is, as I already mentioned, that is what this mining actually does, like solving the cryptographic hash. So in Bitcoin, there is just like a stack or queue, you have a concept known as mempool. Mempool is a memory pool where all the valid transaction means the sender, receiver, and all those things are verified, and these transactions are added to the mempool. And from the mempool, the miners means those are actually going to compute the answers. They will take the values from this mempool and they will try to compute the hash value. That is how the process done. And for verifying, like if your answer is published, anyone can easily verify it, because only computation is hard, but the verification is very easy, because I am giving my inputs and this is my random number and this is the algorithm used. So anyone can just take this input and compute and verify, okay, whether my answer is right or no. So within milliseconds, you can verify whether a particular person's answer is right or no. But finding the random number or finding the low hash value is a difficult process over there. And how coin value is determined. So if you are asking about conversion of that is a different scenario. Like many crypto exchanges are there, which depends on many socio-economic factors over there. But primarily, the idea of Satoshi Nakamoto is to have a global currency, like not to compare with US dollars or INR or any other currency. Everyone coming to the Bitcoin world, everyone doing transactions on the Bitcoin. That is what the concept of Satoshi. And can we say blockchain is a layers of security? Yeah, definitely. Blockchain can bring layer, like on top of the blockchain layer, you can build your own secondary layers. So there are layer one, layer two kind of concepts where your existing systems can lie on top of blockchain. Say for example, if you want to put the complete data on blockchain, it will be extremely high power computing thing. Suppose if you want to put a movie file on, be it is not advisable to put very big files on blockchain. So you put the files in some other mechanisms, just store the hash value on blockchain, which means that each and every access to that file needs a hash verification, and even any kind of tampering efforts will be easily caught. That is how things work. Then how it's different from firewall. So firewall is entirely different concept, I would say. Like blockchain actually tries to build the network for you, just like how you are going to create a intranet or internet network. So blockchain is like the nodes connecting in a peer-to-peer fashion, just like how your torrent networks or those things are working. No central authorities or third parties or web servers over there, and it is like building the skeleton network where the nodes have the same copy. And firewall is like bringing some security aspects, or bringing kind of checking all the nodes based on some protocols. So if since blockchain is also connecting the nodes through the internet, you can always add firewalls on top of it, but that is an entirely different concept. So any other queries? I think I've just given a very brief intro to what exactly is Bitcoin. I'm not going too much deep here. So if you have any other queries, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can move. So we are building layers of by blockchain. Yeah, definitely we can build layers of network using blockchain, but it is not mandatory. You can completely rely on public blockchains. I am coming to public blockchains where there is already a full-fledged layer of blockchain network, and you can build applications on top of that. That is also possible. Okay, so shall I move to next slide? If there is no further queries, shall I move to the next one? Is there any other query? Okay, so I'll just go to the next part, and if you have any queries, I'll take it. So this is just the generation of blockchain. Like I have included Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the very first blockchain which was released in 2008, and Bitcoin is a non-programmable network, which means that it is used only for the currency part. You cannot run any kind of general purpose applications on Bitcoin. Like it is purely for that currency only. You can't develop application on top of it. And later on 2013, a computer scientist known as Vitalik Buterin introduced a new blockchain called Ethereum. Ethereum is almost same as that of Bitcoin. The only advantage is that it have a new concept known as smart contracts. So smart contracts is a programming part of blockchain where you can build your own applications, or you can build your own businesses on top of public blockchains, which can be used by any public across the world. So we will see how these things are working. That is, smart contract is one of the important part of blockchain. And then there are many other upcoming networks like 3.0, EOS, and all, which focuses on performance, governance, and all those kind of things. Like these are mainly custom made kind of things based on applications. You can go and check for it. And I have also included two other concepts here: Hyperledger and Corda. So Hyperledger and Corda are not except blockchains, because the concept of blockchain is purely public and permissionless one. That is, anyone can come and join. That is the main idea of Satoshi Nakamoto's core blockchain idea. But what the enterprises have actually done is like they have taken the features of blockchain, or they have taken the main features of blockchain, and they made it a permission and private kind of thing, or more specifically a distributed ledger having the features of blockchain, but it is not exactly a blockchain. So that is why I have put it as separate. You have Hyperledger, which is by the Linux Foundation, which is a private permission kind of thing. So Hyperledger is actually a project. Under this project, there are many variants of Hyperledger. Like there is Hyperledger Fabric by IBM, Hyperledger Sawtooth by Intel. Then there is Hyperledger Iroha, Hyperledger Burrow. I think there are 11 or 12 projects under Hyperledger. Tools and projects are there, which can be used for many corporate and enterprise. Three is actually a consortium of banking firms. There are around 300 plus banking firms, and they have developed a banking solution kind of distributed ledger, where only the banks or financial institutions can be a part, or can be a node over there. and that is actually known as Corda. Many banks in India, like the Federal Bank, South Indian Bank, Axis Bank, all those banks are currently a part of this Corda network. So I don't call Hyperledger or Corda as blockchains, but they are primarily distributed ledgers, which have the features of blockchain, but they are not exactly blockchain. But I would like to call Ethereum as a true blockchain, or Ethereum is a core public blockchain where programmers or developers can come and build truly decentralized applications on top of blockchain. So like currently you can classify applications primarily into two. There are web applications and there are mobile applications. But whether it is a web application or mobile application, your data primarily you should have some kind of server mechanisms or web servers to handle with the data or to handle the things. So what if these web servers are failed? Say even Facebook or WhatsApp can get hang if their web servers are not responding properly. So in an Ethereum kind of truly decentralized network, if you publish a DApp or if you publish a decentralized application, the downtime will be actually zero because your application will be running at multiple nodes or it have the exact copies at n number of nodes across the board. So even if couple of nodes or even if hundred of nodes are just failing, still you can get a copy of your application or still your application will have support from some amount of nodes across the board. So that is the advantage of Ethereum. And smart contracts is important concept in the blockchain. Hope you all know about programming is nothing but a set of instructions which you are doing to make the computer task. So contract is somewhat different from a program. So you have heard about physical contracts, just like an agreement between two parties or multi-party kind of thing, where people work on some kind of rules and restrictions for some usage, just like your rental agreement or your car lease agreement or a land what do you call land lease kind of things. There are many kind of things which are happening on that. So in blockchain, the smart contract is a programming component which can actually build your business logic as digital contracts. Digital contracts means the physical things can be converted to digital ones, which will be, as mentioned here, will be truly autonomous rules. Like there is no need for third parties or intermediaries or any other agencies in between. The consumer and the what do you call the seller or the service provider, they can directly connect with each other, agree upon these smart contracts, and the network will be actually controlling these contracts. So no need to trust any person, no need to trust any kind of intermediaries there. If you trust your smart contract, or if you can come and read your properly, you can be in the network and you can do the transactions. So that is the main comparison. Like the traditional contracts, it takes a lot of discrepancies, other issues, like takes around 1 to 3 days for a transaction, but within minutes or within seconds you can compute a smart contract. And primarily the traditional contracts needs a lot of intermediaries like the lawyers or notary services and signatures and all those kind of things, but all those things are automated in the blockchain scenario, which means if I want to put an application on top of blockchain. I will create a smart contract and I will list all the conditions or guidelines on top of it. And if you are a buyer or if you are a consumer for that particular application, you can come and verify my smart contract. Only if you are convinced on that smart contract, or only if you are convinced with that agreement, start using application or you start using my service. So you don't need to trust me or you don't need to trust my authority or something of that kind. If there is a genuine smart contract with listed assets, because if you want to list a smart contract in a blockchain, there are many conditions for it. That is more of a programming kind of thing. You can go and verify it, or if needed, I'll explain further. So that is how the things actually work. I will go to some of the applications on blockchain where you can see how the smart contracts will bring the value. So some of the potential business disruptions which are done by blockchain are in supply chain, banking, the land records or the land registry and certificate issuance, then the identity and KYC kind of thing, public notaries, governance, healthcare, etc. So we will see some of the most famous blockchain implementations and how people have actually used the blockchain, so that you can also use blockchains or you can also use smart contracts in your innovations and in your demos, which can bring more value to your systems. So let's see the supply chain. Supply chain is one of the most traditional businesses and one of the most largest businesses across the world. Right from a very very small computer chip or very small thing to largest spacecrafts or airlines, they are all dealing with supply chain. Like anything and everything transfer from one place to another have a supply chain between. So why blockchain? In the sense it ensures maximum transparency and people can track it in the real time. That is how the asset management have a value on blockchain. So there are many implementations of supply chain on blockchain. The most famous one, IBM and Walmart using the blockchain for traceability of products. I will explain that scenario so that you will get more details regarding that. There are many other examples like oil supply chains, textile. Many examples are there. Even automobile industry and all. There are a lot of supply chain scenarios on blockchain. So you can hope you can see the figure. This is a traditional supply. Mainly, any supply chain initiative have mainly 5 departments. Not just 5. There are many sub departments also. But there is always a manufacturer who gets the raw materials from the raw material service providers. Manufacturer who makes the product, gives it to a warehouse from where the distributor gets the product and do the logistics like the shipping or whatever be the kind of transportation have to be done. That is done by the logistics department and ultimately it reaches the retailer. And from the retailer, the customers or the clients are actually going to purchase the service. This is what the common thing is. And in the current centralized scenario, every system have their own databases or their own computer mechanisms which have its own ledger mechanisms, primarily centralized server mechanisms, which will communicate with each and every companies involved in that. Like in a supply chain, there will be multiple companies involved. Say Walmart is going to sell Apple through their stores. So Apple will be sourced from some person at some location. Say from Himachal Pradesh, you are going to source the apples. So the Himachal apple is coming to some warehouse where they are caught or some other protective things are happening. Then the distributor is going to give it to the Walmart stores across India or across other places, and finally the retailer is going to. So this is a traditional kind of thing which primarily depends on a single data store or a centralized database. But if the things are moving to blockchain, you can see like there are main components: an asset and the data. Sorry. So asset is something which is a record of the asset transfer. Like what is the thing which is going to transfer, and you are going to store that value on the blockchain. So if I'm selling apple, right from sourcing the apple, I will list, okay, 500 kgs of apple of this quality. I will write it on blockchain. This is the place from I have taken the things, and this is the buyer, and asset, where it can be a physical asset or it can be a digital asset, but that will be listed by a valid entity. Valid entity means that everyone will be agreeing to that person. So that is how the manufacturer starts the process. So he will keep on adding these things. You can see like there is a skeleton kind, or there is a backbone kind of blockchain supply chain management system there. And then there is a smart contract. Smart contract means you can write all your business logic. Say if there is a price fluctuation, what to do, or what to do in case of rain or some kind of other scenario, or what to do if you want to uh, sell it to some other agents. Like all the conditions, like your SAP document, like the market fluctuations are subject to market risk. So what are the market risks? You are writing all the market risk and all those kind of things on top of smart contracts, so that any company in the network can just easily come and verify what are actually happening over here. And this process is very simple. So you can see the statistics here. This pilot was done by Walmart and IBM using the Hyperledger mechanism, because this was a internal project for Walmart and IBM. So this was not on a public blockchain. They used the permission system, and the case study was to uh, track the shipment of mangoes and pork. It was primarily done from China. So in the initial days, when the centralized system, it took around 6.5 days for Walmart to trace the origin of a particular produce. Like in their shelf, if something happens to a product, if they want to trace out from where this actual product is coming, and if they want to call back the complete batch number or the complete batch of that product, it took around 6.5 days for them to do this traceability thing. But with blockchain, this can be done in 2.2 seconds. So that is the beauty of blockchain, or that is the beauty of this kind of transparent distributed ledgers, where data is there. You can easily trace the asset, and you can easily uh, have this ledger mechanism where all the entities can be share. Like when there is no need for a central authority or a single entity, the multiple parties can come and engage through this smart contract facility. So this is one of the very famous implementation of blockchain. Then the next one is about banking. So as I already mentioned, bank is nothing but a big ledger mechanism where all the transactions are being kept on this ledger. And most of the banks are currently trying to use blockchain network for their ledger mechanism just to ensure like the transactions or these kind of things are working properly on the ledger mechanism. So you can see 69% of banks are experimenting with the blockchain, primarily in the cross-border payments. So I will come into the cross-border payments because cross-border payments is one of the most time-consuming things, and most intermediaries are involved, and there are huge charges, hidden charges involved in that. And the banks can also reduce the infrastructure cost. Like some people predict like by the year 2030 there is no need for physical banks, like people can do all the service on top of a blockchain network. So this is a traditional kind of thing which we currently use also. The sender will have their own accounts. The registration means nothing but doing a KYC, creating some orders and paying the funds, and you have some set of intermediaries like there are Swift and many other cross-border payment channels where they will help you in making when it goes to the receiver. This is how the things actually work. It may take 3 to 5 days or beyond that for some transactions, or some there are chances like some transactions may get broken in between, and many other things can happen. Like even if you are using some payment wallets, there are scenarios where the payments will actually, and it takes around 3 to 5 days to get your money back. So that kind of things can happen. But if it is on blockchain, what happens is like the direct digital wallet application, so your mobile application which is blockchain enabled is directly connecting to the blockchain network, on which you have a smart contract or you have a settlement agreement which is written on the blockchain, which means like the banks will be connecting, or the banks will connect towards the blockchain, and the transfer between the sender and receiver, or from the A to B transfer, happens directly through the blockchain with minimal involvement from the banks, like no physical involvements or no managers or anything of that. Personal involvement is there for a transaction. Only they will be clearing of the settlements based on some smart contracts, like some daily clearing or some monthly clearing will be there. But otherwise, if your transactions are valid and if your smart contracts agrees you to do the transaction, you can do a transaction. Say for example, I have 10,000 rupees in my account. If I'm going to initiate a transaction of 20,000 rupees, the smart contract will block me or something will happen. So like this, it will be directly happening with the smart contracts without any kind of core banking facilities. So that is how things work with blockchain. And primarily for the cross-border payments, like if you want to say you have only INR in your account, if you want to send US dollars to a so what you will do is like you will connect your bank, they will fix some conversion charges, and there will be some kind of remittance charge. Like for the cross-border thing, there will be some kind of remittance charges, because these banks will be supported by some agencies like Swift and all, where they will hold one in India and one in US, where they will keep equivalent amount conversions. So I'm not going too much deep in the economic part over there. And based on the conversion rate, will actually, so you always know like the currency buy and sell rate. You will buy at a higher price, but when you sell, some amount will be low. So there is always a loss of money, or you lose some value in between this cross-border payments, just because these intermediaries are eating off your money in between. But if blockchain is being used, you can see like the transaction, the processing time is reduced to minutes, and it is more or less purely transparent. No need for any kind of intermediaries, and directly it can go in. Like it is two average and 5 6 times faster on an average, which means more trusted and more sustainable kind of things. So if you on financial domain or in banking domain, blockchain can be an ideal calculating for you. And the other area is decentralized IoT. So I think you all may be more experts than me on IoT platform. I'm not an uh, IoT expert, or I don't have any kind of experience on IoT. But people predict like that most of the current IoT are in centralized platforms, or mostly they are connecting with central servers over here. But in future, the IoT devices will be more or less connecting over a decentralized platform where the device-to-device communication can happen in a more random fashion with a trusted backend layer. Say if my television in my home is communicating with my AC, say like if television is getting overheated, uh, on AC. So it will be verified by a couple of other devices, say like the fan or a light in that particular room or a temperature sensor verifies like okay the transaction on television is valid, and you can gain access or you can change the temperature. So likewise the device to device communication with some kind of smart contracts like IoT plus smart contract, or people predict like IoT will change to BOT, blockchain of things kind of things can happen, and that will be the future. So that's one possible area which you can explore. Then another one is healthcare. So healthcare is primarily for creating the tamper health records. So we at Kerala Blockchain Academy, we are doing a project for government of Kerala primarily to keep the health data secure. Like uh, difficult task for going to a hospital is to get your OP ticket. If you're going to a government hospital and if you have to shift from one hospital to another hospital, your data doesn't travels with you, or you can't get all the data with you. But here with a single OP ticket, if your data completely moves with you with complete security also, like only with the permission of patient only, the health officials or the doctors can gain access to the data. Because suppose say I am suffering from fever and I am also having headache. So for the treatment of headache, I am going to some other hospital. So it's my choice, like only if I want to expose the treatment details of fever to that particular doctor. Because if fever are not correlated, I don't want to expose that particular detail. Only if that brings some value to that use, only I will expose the detail. So that kind of things are also there in the healthcare sector, primarily to make data more and more secure and to bring transparency. So there's multiple X-rays, ECGs, all those things can be avoided with a single digital copy. You can share the things in a tamper-proof manner to hospital. And primarily for the government, there are many areas like the public notary service. So notary is nothing but an individual or an entity which verifies whether your documents or whether your certificates are genuine or not, just like cross checking the things. So these things can be done over smart on blockchain. I will explain that. And certificates, like there are many issues with the fake certificates happening with the physical or printed certificates or with the digital ones also. But if your certificates on blockchain, you can easily figure out this certificate in this particular block number at this particular time, which you cannot tamper or alter. ABA, all our certificates, all our education certificates are put on public blockchain so that all students will get a digital copy of the certificate, and the employers can scan the QR code and verify the certificate is issued whether it is genuine or not. Create a duplicate certificate or a certificate the KB logo and all those kind of, that certificate will never ever be on blockchain, and you cheat. Then you should know there are a lot of discrepancies happening over the physical tenders or even dealers, but if they have a transparent ledger mechanism like blockchain, it will be more ideal. And for the identity management systems like the KYCs and all, what if you want to maintain your, say, for verifying my age? So typically what happens is like I will be giving my driving license or passport or anything of that kind. So if the system just want to whether I am 30 years of age or not, it is not mandatory to reveal your month and date of birth. You just want to reveal only your year only. No one reveal month and date, because that, I'm just giving an example. That may be your privacy. Like if you don't want anyone to note your birthday, your exact birth date, you can just hide. You only want to prove that you are 30 years of old. So if your year is so and so, you can simply prove like you are 30 years of old or not. And for police department, a lot of things happens over voting for the crime records management, evidence management and all. Like I will explain in depth in that. And for voting as well as for taxation also, so we will see how it's are working. So for the taxation, like in any commodity purchase or whether it is or not, there is always a tax component. So it can be VAT or GST or any other factor. So suppose I'm going to purchase a mobile phone which is 1,000. So the actual price will be 18,000 and 2,000 will be the tax on top. Just assume like 2,000 is tax and 18,000 is the actual price. So I will be paying the 20,000 direct to Amazon or to the retailer or whatever be the company who is actually providing the phone, and they will get the complete amount. And these companies will be paying the tax to the government only on a quarterly basis or a half yearly or yearly basis, which means that these tax amount a company and the government may not be able to gain it at the right moment. So if there is a smart contract on back scheme, we can split the non-VAT component or the non-GST component goes to the sellers or the what you call the manufacturer's account, and the GST part will go directly to the government account. That is, at the time of purchase itself, the government is receiving the tax, which means that we will have a better economy and the financial system will be much more advanced. And same is the case with salary statements also. Like you don't have to go and file income tax separately. Probably you have a very good smart contract in the backend. So uh, more of a governance plus technology kind of scenario where the government have to adopt this kind of things. And many governments are trying with these scenarios. And land registry is one another thing, like just like going to Amazon and purchasing something in future, the land records will be completely stored on blockchain, and you will have digital records of land with all the liability certificates, the government authorization, and all other needed things, so that worry about anything. It will be on blockchain, which is verified by all the needed stakeholders, and you can simply verify it in the purchase it. So in Kerala at Trivandrum, we had a pilot on a land registry for a place called Vanchur. We have already completed the pilot by the government of Kerala already completed the pilot, and many other states like Telangana and other states are already doing land registry pilots on blockchain, which is one of the most prominent use case on blockchain, because currently there are a lot of frauds happening over land record documents, and verifying the land record documents is a very difficult process. Like a common man may not be able to completely verify things. So what if it is purely converted to easily verifiable smart contracts? That's a huge potential. And public notary mechanism, as I mentioned, the most famous example is Estonia. Estonia is a country. It's a very small European country having third or just 13 lakh population. So in 2015, BitNation is a blockchain-based company. They have issued a e-Estonia card, which means like just like our Aadhaar card, it's a chip-based card where all the services of government can be availed by that particular uh, card, and your identity and all those things will be verified on top of blockchain, because all the transactions will be on top of blockchain. And even if you are a tourist to Estonia, you will get a temporary e-residency card. That is how they're planned for it. And you can see like even there is huge growth in the internet-based voting thing. Like they are enabling blockchain-based voting also with the e-residency card. Just by staying at home, it's cast vote for the elections. But there are obviously some security concerns. Say like, what if you are in a gunpoint at home? You can't do it. So they are giving some kind of time frames, like 4 days you can change the vote, or you can do some kind of thing, and you need to cast multiple votes from multiple locations. Like that, there are some conditions for that. But yeah, that's a pilot thing. Even India government is also looking for blockchain for the voting kind of thing. Like election commission is very keen on looking blockchain kind of thing, and you can see like they have almost 99% of the population have the electronic ID card. But as I already mentioned, like Estonia is a very small country with just 13 lakh population. Even a district in some state in India have population much higher than that. So you can't compare Estonia with an Indian context, but still things are advancing. Like there will be always shift in that. And Smart Dubai is one another very good initiative for identity management. Like Dubai government is trying to implement blockchain in almost all the areas like energy, transport, tourism, healthcare, and all, where they are planning like very within the next 1 year or 2 years, they're planning to save large amount of money on the carbon dioxide emissions, by eliminating paperwork and many other kind of things, so that the entire system will come into blockchain. They even have a passport verification mechanism on blockchain, which is currently on pilot at Terminal 3 of Emirates. Like you just go through a tunnel. It is actually blockchain plus IoT plus ML. All those things are combined together. At the just by going through the tunnel, your entire baggage, your identity, all those things will be fully verified. So this is like combining the physical and digital identity, because like you'll be having a lot of physical identities like Aadhaar card, election ID card, passports, and many other kind of things. But I don't know whether you will be remembering all your identity numbers. Say like your election identity card number may not be able to remember. Some people may be remembering the Aadhaar number as well as the PAN number, but your driving license number and all those things may not be by heart for you. But your social IDs, like say your ID or your Twitter ID or your LinkedIn ID, that will be known to all, and you will be having some kind of digital store there also. So the future will be combining this physical and digital ID, or the government issued ID cards plus your digital identity card will be the future. Like starting from the birth certificate itself, you can connect to all things so that you can avoid a lot of fake profiles. Say, hope there is a joke like there are three Facebook accounts that when compared to total population of the world, like that is a kind of fake accounts which are there on Facebook. So that things can be avoided with a unique identity. And in real estate, like as similar to the land records, the property purchase and the property construction, although and that also Smart Dubai have an initiative. It also provides fractional ownership of property. Say one single apartment can be owned by 1,000 individuals or 10,000 individuals. Like everyone have a equal share on top of it, which is controlled by the smart contract. So just like, okay, I can stay there for 2 days per year or 3 days per month. There'll be some conditions, or I can rent it out for that particular days. I can get the revenue. So there are a lot of things happening on top of that. Same is the case with the car rental businesses and this taxi service and all. There are many blockchain based things where you can invest in multiple cars and gain profit on top of it. So no need to purchase a new car, you just invest on multiple cars from a provider, and you can gain profit also, because like automobile is always a depreciating asset. So investing huge amount in automobile is not a good method suggested by the millennials and the next generation. So they will be scenarios. Insurance is another area where major players like Allianz and all, they are working on blockchain-based solutions for settlements and to avoid the paper trails, because blockchain gives the fair amount of trust and transparency for people. Say there is an automobile insurance claim pilot. If you met with an accident, like the claim processing is actually a difficult process. You need to have a police case and all those kind of things should happen. So here what happens is, once you met with an accident, you have a mobile app which you notify, and your smart contracts will trigger and notify your insurance provider. You just take some photos in live, like they will ask you to take some video or photos in live over there. That's it, you just post it, and they will have a peer-to-peer verification kind of things. Like within the live moment itself, they'll have a verification mechanism through the CCTV cameras or through police or through some other entities, and they can easily process. So no need to worry about your insurance claims and all. That is also another possibility with the smart contracts. People think of that. And there are a lot of other agencies also, other areas also, like automobile industry is there, where the OEMs and product tracking things are on blockchain. Ford, Renault, and many other companies are currently focusing on that, because like when some faulty things are there in automobiles, people the companies have to recall that products and change it. So that is a difficult process. So if all the products are listed on blockchain, you can easily figure out, or you can check it from a simple QR itself. Digital marketing is one area where a lot of fraud happens. Like when an ad pop-up is coming, you don't know whether it is ad or not. So equivalent to Google Chrome, there is a new browser known as Brave browser, which is a blockchain-based browser, which keeps away the spam, and which will pay the users for the ads which are viewed. Like it is actually directing the marketer and the consumer. Say if Maruti Suzuki wants to put an ad, they will purchase some amount of tokens, just like bitcoins. The Brave have a token called BAT. So they will purchase the tokens and put it on Brave. So those who are interested in cars or similar kind of things, they will come and go through the if I am listing, I can list my priorities over Brave browser. So based on my priority, I can go and watch the ad. So the advantage is like get a genuine ad, and moreover I will get paid for viewing that ad, and Maruti Suzuki will be getting a genuine client who is actually viewing their ad, because currently these marketing agencies or the third parties will be creating bots and many other phishing kind of things just to uh, keep the clicks, like the marketing tricks out there. Then energy grids is another area where the I think all of you are familiar with the grid kind of systems where households can produce energy from the renewable sources like solar, and they can transmit to peers or so. Beyond a centralized grid, you can directly your surplus current to your peers, so that the transmission loss and all those things can be reduced. And same is the case with agriculture. A farm to fork traceability kind of thing is there. I will give an example also in telecom industry, also to identify the spam calls and all. In airline industry, primarily for the courier services and the baggage kind of things, and for legal service and charity. So I will just quickly wind up it because I think time is already up. This is a figure which was released by NASCOM. Most of the adoptions, I think there are many other things also coming up. So you can see like most of the states have their own adoptions on blockchain in various sectors like land registry, farm insurance, chit funds, and all those kind of things. And the future is like till date only 50% knows about 50% of the world uses internet, and only 0.5% of the world actually knows what exactly is a blockchain. So there is a huge potential for the growth of blockchain, as some of you can see the Gartner predictions, IBM's predictions and all. So it will take around 3 to 5 years to have more adoptions on. That is the right choice where you people as innovators or as entrepreneurs, if you can figure out some challenges, some existing problems which can be solved with blockchain, where your business idea also suits well, you can gain more profits. So this is some of the solutions which we developed in-house at KBA. Certichain, as I already mentioned, all the certificates will be put on top of public blockchain. AgroChain is a MIT hackathon winner, which is funded by Niti Aayog and all. Like, it's a farm to fork traceability which we do with Kerala Agriculture University. Already the pilot started for banana cultivators back in December. Swasthya, as I mentioned, is electronic health record management system for the government. Then SkillChain was funded by, or it was awarded by US Consulate Chennai, primarily the migrant resume data bank management. We are working with the Ernakulam, this or the specifically the Alua police department for implementing this, like to build a resume for migrant laborers, because like migrant laborers, most of them will be uneducated or they may not be having a resume. So even if they are working 2 or 3 years at the same domain, they don't have a skill experience or they don't have an experience certificate. So here the employee can rate the employer, and same in the reverse also. And over a period of time, they build a resume, and social security, the criminal activities, and all those things can also be mapped by the police department, so that with the period of time, you have some trusted migrant laborers who can be employed. The right person, the right job kind of thing can be done. Immunogen is another solution which was funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it was under the Grand Challenges India project. Out of 272 projects, only 9 projects were funded, and this is one of them which we do. This is a vaccine supply chain traceability solution where the vaccine, right from the donor or right from the producer till the child, it is being tracked. So in the current system, there were around 17 to 19 physical ledgers maintained at multiple points like the PHCs, district centers, taluks, state, and all. So we can remove all the, because there is always a mismatch in the data values there, because these are just numbers. So the handwriting mismatch and all those things can happen. So we just figured out a simple mobile app which will be running on blockchain. Use a hyperledger sorter. So at a PHC, an ASHA worker or an Anganwadi worker, or those who is administering the vaccination, can simply scan the QR from vaccine and scan the QR from the book of child. Like every child or every mother will be having a book for vaccination. So just scan it and match it. So whenever there is a like whenever the child is migrating from one place to another place, or any kind of new vaccines are coming, say if COVID vaccine is coming, you can easily figure out people from the blockchain network, and you can easily supply things. So this is already piloted at 27 PSC centers in Trivandrum, to be specific at Kadagampalli area. That is thing, and this is under the, like, we have submitted to Government of India for approval, and by the next December or January, we expected to have a roll out across the country. So I think by that I will wind up my session. I know, like, this is a very short session. I can't elaborate too much deep in that, but feel free to connect me over LinkedIn or Twitter. I am available over LinkedIn or Twitter, or you can directly mail me. My email ID is adarsun@gmail.com. You can directly mail me also. And if you have any questions, I can take it right now. Feel free to ask any
So there
questions.
are some participants who have like asked questions in the while registering in the platform, means for this session. So I'll just type those questions here. I think
Sure.
like most of them you have addressed, but still like I'll post it here.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So what is the role of Java? Yeah, I think what is the role of Java in blockchain? So Java is just a programming language. Like in blockchain also we have its own programming language. Say for example, in Ethereum we use the language Solidity. In Hyperledger Fabric you can use Go and all. In Corda you use Android. You can use Java also, and you can use Kotlin and all. So like Java language is supported some blockchain, some technologies and all. And how we can make blockchain for agriculture. You have posted all the questions, right? It's a combination of all things. So it's on research around India voting. So India government have started, like, they are giving some kind of hints, like they plan to give more security to the voting mechanism, but it's still in a very initial stages. And how we can make for agriculture. So there are many practical implementations of agriculture, like even the agro chain, which is being currently the pilot phase. We started the pilot back in December. So it's like a farm to fork farm to fork kind of traceability solution, primarily to trace who is the origin or from where we are getting the product, because those organic products which you get, still there is a kind of uh, whatever kind of discrepancy over its genuinity or its authority. And yeah, how you see the chances of blockchain future space, industrialization and blockchain help this in recession. So in recession, like I would suggest, like, blockchain can give, or blockchain can help in creating virtual companies or virtual organizations, primarily called as DAOs, or decent autonomous organizations. Like, you don't need a physical office space, or you don't need a physical thing for that. You can work over smart contracts. Like, if I agree, like, okay, I'm a coder, I do some kind of thing. If Sahan is doing some kind of other things, and I have an IoT expert over here, or I have some other kind of experts, so we collaborate our hours on top of blockchain. Just like your Upwork, there are some freelance things on blockchain also, and that kind of next level organization, they are already in place. There are many organizations working like that, so that maybe some futuristic things with minimal investments or minimal initial investments can be there. That is also possibility. And what is the impact on central bank digital currency on blockchain? So there are some countries which are thinking of central bank digital currencies using blockchain, but again, that violates the role of blockchain. Like, again, it goes to centralization. So uh, maybe it uses the features of blockchain, but you can't say like it is a true cryptocurrency. Again, it will be a normal digital currency, but obviously you can have the trust and transparency, just like what we are doing with Hyperledger. And how to get into blockchain field. Okay, so KBA offers some free programs on blockchain. It's free to audit programs are there on blockchain, like even the content and all this are available. I'll share my link, elearning.kb.a. So there is a program called Certified Blockchain Associate, which is a beginner program, primarily for the blockchain enthusiast. It's a completely free program. You have to pay only for the certificate. If you need, you can go and pay for certificate. Otherwise, it is fully free to audit. It's a 2 months program. You can go and register and learn the basics of blockchain. And if you want to advance further, say like into the developer programs, if you want to learn Hyperledger Fabric or Corda or Ethereum or anything of that kind, there are advanced programs also, but that will be more into the programming part. This is an open program which is open to all the participants. Like anyone can actually come and join. That's the thing. I think I have took almost all the queries. Yeah, share the content. You can visit elearning.qbit.ai. These contents are actually available over there. And like on research going on, yeah, already I've took that thing. So if there are any further queries, feel free to ask me now. Otherwise, we can wind up the session. I'm already exceeding the time. I know you'll be busy with your schedules. So feel free to ask me if there are any further queries.
Yeah, Kazim, do you have any queries? I saw you raising hand, so.
Yes. I raise my hand up. Hello?
Yes, proceed. Yes, proceed, please.
Yes,
No, your
yes, I can
voice
hear
is,
you. Please.
I really appreciate your contribution, and I really appreciate your this lecture, this seminar, this seminar. To share with us the slides, you share with us the slides and the programs that we can attend from your company that will let us know more, and the crypto asset and all the attributes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
So I think the content is already. I've shared the link. You can check. It's elearning.kba.ai. So I think you can check that website, the complete details. Like I've just made a very small thing. So you can get the complete details regarding blockchain at that website, and you can do that course also. It is a completely free course. It's a free to audit kind of course, so you can definitely do that. So I think there is one more question from Sharza. Like, okay, I the BOT will be an interesting concept to explore. Are there projects active in this dimension supporting low power and all? So Hyundai, I've read about a thing like Hyundai is having a project on blockchain for IoT devices, and Philips is having a IoT plus healthcare kind of thing that is primarily for the wearable devices and all. It's a blockchain plus IoT kind of thing. And since I am not an expert in IoT, or I don't have too much interest in IoT, I didn't explore further. But I think Hyundai is having HDAC something is having an initiative over it, and Philips is having another initiative. Plus IOTA is a kind of network. IOTA is it's a what do you call it? It's a network specific for devices on blockchain. Like you can create your own network for IoT devices, uh, but it's still I would say it's not completely mature. It is still having its own kind of things. Like you cannot have the complete freedom of programming in IOTA. They provide their own functionalities and their own code. You can only extend that particular code, though, so there are still some issues. And in Hyperledger Sawtooth, you have you can have modules for integrating IoT. There are I've seen some projects with autonomous vehicles and all where they are using Hyperledger Sawtooth for integrating IoT modules. But like since I didn't explore too much on IoT, I can't answer too much. Hope that answers your query. And as you mentioned, like the low power devices, yeah, definitely these IoT devices will not be a node because they can't do this kind of computation. So this proof of work algorithm will not be working over there. They will be having some different consensus. Say like there is POET, PBFT, POS. There are many different other consensus algorithms. So proof of work is only mainly used by Bitcoin and Ethereum only. The other networks like Hyperledger, US and all, they are not actually using these networks, these proof of work concerns. So IoT device may not be able to run these proof algorithms. Hope that answers your query. Any further queries?
I think no, I guess.
Okay. So thanks, Sahan, and thanks to the Cisco ThingQbator team for inviting me, and thanks to Sarasar also for inviting me to this. Hope you enjoyed the session,
Yeah.
and if you have any queries, feel free to connect me over my Gmail or my LinkedIn or Twitter. Okay.
Yes, Adarsh. Sure. So thanks once again for coming here, like taking up this session. So I would like from the team ThingQbator behalf, I thank everyone who is attended this session. So yeah, thank you all.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks. Okay.